look in the eyes of my brother without shedding
I don't know if it's new to me, but yo, what up? Welcome back to another episode of the InforMILLy Honest Podcast in the year of someone's white lord, 2023. First recording of the year, dynamic duo, Brother Johnson and bro, and myself, the good sir Ishman. And we want to thank y'all for joining us another week. In case it's your first time, we are usually four brothers from the middle neighborhood of Gary, Indiana, coming to you to talk about this thing called life. And no matter where we go, we're always going to pride ourselves on those three principles: being forthright, vulnerable, and most of all, honest. Adam, how you doing, man?
I think I'm feeling okay. Yeah, I'm feeling okay. I'll leave it at that. How about you?
I'm a myriad of things. I'm back into a functional place, but for some time, crazily depressed. Going through a lot of transition in my world, and so transitions are usually pretty uncomfortable. And so I'm on right now. I'm on an old school roller coaster. I'm gonna get to the end, but the shit is shaky, and I feel like I might die at any point.
Keep hitting your knees on the seat in front of you.
The bar is like hitting me in the ribs because it jerks too much to the side.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
I hate wooden roller coasters. Like I cannot stand them.
So yeah, I have plenty to be grateful for. I breathe another day, but this living thing is hard. And so I'm gonna continue to, just be in the flow of that and acknowledge the blessings and fortunes that are coming. So a lot of things happened while we were on break. What all can we get to? A nigga went to jail for a thing that we all knew he did, but for some reason, no one believed it. Talking about Tory and Megan. I say we all, a lot of motherfuckers didn't believe the shit. I knew he did it personally. I believed it the entire time. And I still found it wildly hilarious. Because while I don't necessarily care for them because I don't, they're whatever, but I was like, what are we arguing here? Kind of proved that a lot of motherfuckers either don't know about the law or how to read. And so, then that voicemail came out and everybody was like, man, that don't prove nothing. It don't prove nothing that he's clearly apologizing for shooting her in the foot. Wow shit. Wow shit. But one thing that I found particularly interesting, was a wild 48 hours, 46 to 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours, where AI art became huge. Mainly Lensa.ai showed all these motherfuckers, hey, if we lived in an animated world, here's all the versions of you. You get to look like an episode of Love, Death, and Robots, or really a season. And so I'm not gonna lie, I tried to hop on that shit. I really follow trends, but I was like, I heard the shit was $2. Sure, I love cartoons too much to not want to be able to see myself in that way. Then I got on it, and I missed the boom because that shit said $8. And I was like, nope, that's a little too rich for my blood.
That's funny.
And so I never did it. And I did feel a tinge of jealousy by people who did. What were your feelings when you saw it all happening?
Well, for me, I personally thought the art itself was fantastic. I mean, how could you not? Or maybe that's too big of a word. I thought it was really, really good. But I didn't do it just because I don't know. I just had to stick to my guns and just not do it. Just that. I think it paid off. In my own mind, it paid off because like we, like you said, it didn't last very long. So it wasn't like I missed this thing for all of these weeks. This week's long. It was like, oh, okay. It's like, but no, I mean, I thought the images were cool for the most part. Some of the images that that came out of it, like, I don't know how that one isn't the best one, but there's still some great ones in your pack. So
right.
like when I was looking at other people's photos.
That was the interesting part to me. I was like, people are paying to get, like 40, 50 variations of pictures, and they're trying to choose the ones that they felt, either represented themselves well. I heard some people make a case for like, if you have any type of bodily dysmorphia, then it'll fuck with you because a lot of times people don't know how they look to other people.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because people make that case of like, and you'll never really know what your face looks like because you'll only ever either see a recording or a reflection.
Yeah, that's true.
But you'll never see your face. And so some people being like, it changed the way I look. It tried to slim this down, make my eyes bigger, wider, nose smaller, longer, whatever. And so the thing that I think the argument that I found most interesting was it wasn't like it was actually generating new art. It was pulling from whatever millions of terabytes of artistic data that are on the internet.
Yep.
And then pretty much putting it through various filters of art that already existed.
Yeah. And that's basically what AI is. AI can't learn what doesn't exist. Like it can't create its own style.
Yeah.
Like it can only it can create. It can only create based on something. Like it can't, And so that's what's interesting. And like you said, they would take anime styles and this type of style and that type of style, and then they would take photos of the person, and then they'll just kind of blend them. And
right,
and like I said, I think the overall product was cool. The issue I have, not even with Lensa, but just with AI that's coming out in general, is people are. Well, there's two ways to look at it. So I'm sure there's people out there who are probably going to try to use this and try to pass art as their own. We already know this. People are going to do that.
Right.
Whether it's music, whether it's, digital art, like the Lensa photos or whatever. Because I saw there's a guy that I follow on YouTube and Instagram. He's pretty big in the YouTube producer world. Like he does a bunch of tutorials and stuff. But anyway, so he just gives a bunch of different tips, and he was talking about AI samples. So like basically there's some programs out there where you can use AI and it'll create a sample for you. And I remember the post and looking at the comments, like the majority of the comments were actually against it. Which is kind of funny because people that sample, like you already take something that's not yours already, right. But you're mad about the AI. But I'm one of those people. But it's still like, it's regardless though. The sample wasn't created by AI. It was created by a person. Not that it doesn't. I mean, that doesn't matter as much. But more so, I think what people's like frustration or maybe even fears are is like that. Is like they can't. We can't compete with AI. Basically, like AI is infinite. Like it could come up with something in seconds. Like we can't. Like so, I think people feel like intimidated by it. Like some artists. So that's the thing that I'm starting to kind of like to see. Like no one's going to admit that, but that's basically I think that's kind of what's going on.
I've heard that said quite a few times. Of that is a trepidation people feel is like, does this threaten live artists?
Yeah.
As one, what do you think? Because for me anyway, I already have like some beef with people's relationship to electronics, thinking that it will ever be equivalent to a live experience.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's realistic in any way. I don't care how much of an introvert you are, unless you just are completely against doing social activities.
Yeah.
Most art forms that you can engage in, nothing's going to compare to experiencing it live.
Yeah. Or if it's something, or if it's a painting, a person
Right.
did it, whether it's, whether you saw them doing it or not, seeing the brush strokes, seeing the, the human element of it. Kirsten, she basically said the same thing when we were talking about earlier, that regardless of how great it is, it still wasn't done by a human. There's still that disconnect there.
Yeah.
And the only thing, I mean, that's true, but I'm still scared that because AI is forever learning and at a fast pace, I'm scared that 10 years down the line, though it's still AI created, it's going to be so good and be able to emulate so well. It's like you're not even going to be able to know. In fact, I saw something on Reddit the other day where this, I don't know if he was a college student or what, but some guy got accused. He turned into some assignment and he got accused of using AI when I'm guessing it wasn't, but he like, and I guess his professor like, this AI generated. He's like, no, it's not, or whatever. But like now people are like, now that's the issue. Now people are being accused of plagiarism, or I don't know if that's plagiarism or not, but
I think to some degree it kind of is. It was a paper or like an actual piece of art.
It was a piece of art, yeah. Although people are doing that too, like using AI to write papers. That's people are doing that.
A lot of people are doing that.
Yeah. So it's and that's what I'm saying. Like we're gonna get to a place eventually. It's gonna get so good that it's like, I mean, how do you really fight it? And apparently there's this kid, he was not a kid, he's a 22-year-old man, but he was a student though, so I'll call him that. A student created a software that can supposedly detect when AI was used to write a paper. I don't know how, or like because we already know there's a software out there that can detect whether or not a paper was plagiarized or whatever.
Yeah.
Like my professors always, threaten us with that on day one, like, we're gonna run your papers through. Like, okay, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna actually take a step back. So with the music thing specifically, it, I feel like I'm on the fence about it because if you're sampling anyway, you're not using the whatever the song or the piece of the song or whatever it is, whatever you're sampling, you're not pretending it's yours to begin. I mean, in most cases, when people sample, they're not trying to say, I wrote this song in 1969, and like no one's like, we know that's a sample.
That's not necessarily the claim they're making, but like if they, reinterpret it in another way, or like or if they make any modifications to it, then they're usually trying to claim some like ownership of that modification to it.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
I've heard a couple AI generated beats and all of that, and I think it's because it's usually trying to I haven't heard it try to do anything that wasn't already of some kind of pop culture existence.
Yeah.
Like they've had that. I've heard some what was it, like an AI song tried to write a pop song and it did like an Afrobeat song.
That's funny.
And like it'll write the lyrics and it'll like make a beat, like it'll make the whole song.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, I get that. But then it's always in a genre I don't fucking listen to anyway. So I don't.
Yeah, that's true.
So like I go, yeah, I don't, maybe someday it is going to be able to make like legitimate trumpet compositions.
Yeah.
And all of that kind of stuff. But I'm like, until it gets there, I'm not necessarily worried about it.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And like you said, I've heard maybe one AI song and it was extremely silly and it wasn't good. So it's like, if that's what it's going to be, but apparently what this guy was talking about on Instagram, it was like legitimate, like, pieces of music. Like, wow. But he was like, so he was using it as a sample, not to say that he wrote it or anything, but
no, yeah.
But I'm curious to see what it looks like 5 years from now and 10 years from now, just to see, like, because it's only going to get better. And I don't even know if better is the right word. It's going to get more advanced, I think.
Yeah. There was one artist that some years ago, a dancer that made some computer generated choreography or whatever by wearing a green screen suit, and then the animators would like they built an animation out of what he did IRL. And I wonder if there would if more work like that got created, would it be able to then feed an AI generator toward AI creating dance?
I don't see why I wouldn't, honestly. Like I feel like the AI could literally create like a character. You could create like you could use like the lens to create the character, and then that's what's so fascinating about AI is because it's because it can learn. In my mind, there's nothing it can't do. It's now a matter of when it can do it. I don't know, but as long as it can learn, from my understanding about learning, if you're capable of learning, you're capable of learning infinitely. So like until you die, basically, you can continue to learn. Right. So and the AI isn't a living organism like with blood and organs. So I don't know. I'm fascinated by it, but I'm also terrified by it. So
I completely concur with that. I do find it fascinating, but I don't particularly care for its progression because I don't. It, with the exception of medical usage, and economic flourishment, I don't see the reason it should be learning anything else.
Yeah, I agree, and like I believe there's so many like important issues, or I'll say issues. So like so many important issues that people could kind of aim it towards, just kind of in an experiment with it to see what happens. Like I agree, like because I was thinking about it earlier today. What if someone programmed, there some AI something to do like sports betting or something, and it could like give you
probability and all of that.
Yeah, and it's never going to be there's no such thing as a guarantee in sports betting, but maybe it's like while like the I would say the analysis, the
analytics,
no, the analysts. So like analysts that work for these different like websites, and they can only do so much. But if you give this whatever they're doing, you give that into a artificial intelligence, blah blah blah. Maybe they're capable of doing research at a deeper level that a human being just isn't capable of doing, or isn't capable of doing in a short amount of time. So I don't know. And I'm sure someone out there smart enough to apply AI to like you said, in some type of money making, like the guy that automated his work. I don't think I said that when we were recording, but
no, yeah.
So there's a guy somewhere in the world that basically automated his remote job to be done by AI, so he can just sit at home and play video games, basically. Right. And I guess the post that I saw it on, the post was detailing how his boss still hadn't found out about it. They probably found out about it now because it went viral. But yeah, I'm curious. I wish I was smart enough to use it in that way where like, well, how is this going to benefit me to the point where I can sit at home all day and do stuff I actually want to do?
Yeah. I'm completely on board with that. That all of the administrative things that I do not care to do, if I could find a way to automate that shit, so all I gotta do is just check in, make sure it got the task done.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sounds like a fucking dream.
Yep.
Well, write us in. Tell us your thoughts about AI. If it threatens your job, if or if you just think it's it can make some pretty pictures. I personally go, if people aren't using it for the betterment of humanity, I don't see what the development of it is for. Besides, if you're not writing it for the betterment of humanity, then you're building it to kill us all eventually. And I hope I'm already dead by the time y'all do that shit. But in the interim, we'll find out at some motherfucking point. Till then, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you to our sponsor. I'm going to make up a commercial later, and then we'll put that in. Cool. So also over the break, beyond the things that actually happened, found out about this thing that apparently happened back in like 2016. I thought was really fascinating. I am not bringing this up because I care about the environment. I think the environment's important. But all the arguments be like, sure, the earth feeds us and we should take care of the earth because it's the reason why we get to exist in addition to the sun and all of that. But I always laugh at people who are like, don't you want to leave a better world to our children? I was like, fuck your kids. I'm not having it. But this woman named J. Rim Lee invented what's referred to as the infinity burial suit or the shroud, which is a black suit, looks like lightning bolts all over it, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be like roots. And it's a suit made out of cotton, some wood fibers, and mushrooms pretty much. And the mushrooms upon your burial, this is so you don't have to use embalming fluid. This is so you don't have to buy a casket. And the mushrooms cleanse your body of all of the toxins and damaging things that would eventually go into the earth as you decay once you out this bitch. And so I was like, man, that's a really like fascinating thing. Shit came out in 2016. What the fuck have I never heard of it? Didn't find the answer to that question. But when you read about this, what were your thoughts?
Well, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I've definitely heard about alternative methods of burial. Like I've heard of stuff where like you can be planted into a tree, stuff like that. And like, it's basically environmental and sustainability based and stuff.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I mean, I think it's interesting. Like my dad, he used to always joke, probably still does, especially as he gets older. But he used to say like, when that time comes for him, like just get a burlap sack, throw him in it and call it a day. Like no need to spend $5,000 on a casket. Like
right.
My dad is the cheapest person on the planet. So, so yeah. So, I mean, it's hard. I mean, even without the monetary part, I think it's a cool idea, honestly. Just because like even reading that article, I didn't even realize, I mean, it makes sense, but whatever toxins that were in your body, like if you're a tobacco smoker or whatever it is, whether you had cancer, like, like when you die, though that toxicity goes somewhere. So it goes to the earth.
Right.
I never even thought about that. But I guess when you were saying the suit is covered in like mushroom, something.
Yeah, mushroom spores.
Yeah. So it literally it's supposed to basically remove those toxins, or I don't know.
I think the suit absorbs the shit that would have eventually gone into the soil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I found that really interesting. It's a kind of a environmental marvel. Especially when they're talking about in 2019, it got priced at the suit being $1,500, and the average casket costs $2,000 to $5,000. Yeah. I'm not sure how much cremation costs, but I know cremation is like instead of that shit going into the soil, all of that shit goes into the what's the word I'm looking for? Atmosphere.
Ozone layer. Yeah.
Remember the ozone layer? Why does no one talk about the fucking ozone layer anymore?
That's a real good question. I can't remember last time I heard like a professional, I guess you could say, even use the term ozone. like that's a really good point.
And it was that, and when climate change replaced global warming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Like since I've been in school, I hear people now say climate crisis is kind of like right. the new age.
The term.
Yeah. To make it, I mean, it is dire. So I'm not even gonna say it's not.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's not.
But to make it even more like, because when you say crisis, at the end of it, it's like, oh, okay, we got to do something about this. Right. But just to speak about school real quick, it's very fascinating being enrolled in a public school, a public university, in a relatively left city like Chicago, it's just fascinating because I know I'm off subject, but I just got to tell this.
No, you're good.
So this week is the first week of the semester, and
Okay.
I actually have a class called Race. It's called Race and Urban Life, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It talks about race and the way that professor sets. Well, he said he's not a professor yet. He's a PhD student. So the way our instructor described the class was he designed it where the first half is to talk about race and urban life in like based with Chicago being like the focus. And then the second half of the class is talk about Atlanta just based on what Atlanta is representative of the last, I don't know, 60, 70 years. But anyway, so I guess they do this in college, but in certain classes, because this one talks about race, and we already know it's probably going to be uncomfortable at some point in this class because it's a mixed, it's black people, white people, whatever in this class. So it's, but anyway, we spent probably 45 minutes talking about the rules and like the guidelines of the class. So basically, and what I mean by that is we spent that time basically being as woke as we possibly could. That's basically what it was. and it was and it was just like, like basically trying to describe what type of class, like, the word safe space was used a bunch. And we were talking about like, I wish I knew all the terminology, but it's basically, we were just going over like what we could say and couldn't say. And it was very feelings based, and I'm okay with all that stuff. But like before we actually started talking about it as a class, we actually broke into groups first, and we talked about it amongst ourselves. Like, what do you think? And for me, I was like, honestly, as long as nobody is intentionally trying to hurt somebody's feelings, then I don't really care what you say. You can say anything, just you can't be intentional. You can't intentionally be hurtful. As long as no one's doing that, then I don't care. It's like, we don't need to talk about this 45 minutes. Like, it's like, come on, man. But that's it. It's just
that I've been trying to figure out my feelings around subjects like that for some time now, because part of me goes, I want everyone, of course, to feel seen and respected. And I also go, is that thing that deep to you actually?
Yeah.
And on top of what I'm saying, on top of like let's say, how should I say? I have a thing about language with, dark. I don't particularly care for people using dark and derogatory terms. So because I have that, it makes me go, okay, let me respect how people look at this thing. But it's also because I'm that thing. And I have to check that thing toward other people too, toward people who, look like me. But then I go, if the overwhelming majority of the Latin and Hispanic community says that Latinx is stupid, am I supposed?
How am I supposed
to feel about it?
If y'all, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, I get that. Like, it's,
and that's just one example.
Yeah.
Like, and think about it is, especially when it comes to jokes, that's like a whole other conversation. Like, what was it? Listening to your mom's house the other day, and they spent so long talking jokingly defending not using washcloths. And talking about how the blacks defend washcloths so hard. And I was like, this is fucking funny, knowing that I know y'all are dirty because you talk about how fucking filthy y'all are. So I'm like, it doesn't offend me as it would if like someone on the street was just like, the blacks.
Well, okay, let's talk about this washcloth for like 30 seconds. First of all, a loofah is the premium thing to clean yourself with.
Yes, for exfoliating and dead skin. Yes.
It's just better. It feels better. It's not like, because the times that I've used the washcloth, it's like you got to hold it in your hand perfectly. Otherwise, it's gonna just like wrinkle up and just like, it's just stupid. Like, so washcloths are not it.
This is premium washcloth beef.
Yeah, but I'm not saying I agree with the cast members of your mom's house either, but but now that's just them feeling embarrassed. Like,
but no,
all.
yeah, because that was the whole thing of them talking about. I think he started off. Christina was talking about she was taking a shower and he was like, "Did you wash your legs?" And then it just went from there.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so it was that I find that whole thing funny because it's kind of ironic, but also if you listen to old episodes, she would talk about how she wouldn't dry off after she took showers.
Yeah, I think I remember you mentioned that actually.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's a wild thing to do. You just living in your own mildew.
Yeah,
and wondering why you're just wet.
Yeah. But, for me, like I hate when I hate when I'm dry. Like I'm actually dry, and it's still hard to put your clothes on sometimes because although your skin is dry per se, it still has that like moisture on it. Like because it's and it's like, and then the material of your clothes sticks to your skin when you're trying to like that's annoying to me. So I can't imagine being just straight up wet trying to put my clothes on.
Right.
Like that's crazy.
But yeah, so the so I keep going, okay. And maybe it's a thing I have as a dancer. Whenever you're learning steps or teaching someone steps, you always differentiate on what's the actual step and what's the, like, when I'm feeling it, what's that thing? So making sure, like, if I'm teaching someone a dance, right, I'm not going to teach them the way I do it. I'll teach it how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And then you get to color it how you going to color it.
Yeah.
I look at these, fundamentals. Or framework or whatever.
Yeah.
And I look at language these days kind of the same way to go, okay, what's the baseline of like respectful ways of talking for whatever marginalized or disenfranchised communities exist? And then I go, okay, so now that we're here and that person may be present, do they give a fuck?
Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Because I think that's a step further than the average person probably does, where they go, oh yeah, I heard the thing before, but that's not the way I think about it. So I'll do it if I see they got a problem.
Oh, yeah. No, that makes sense. And the funny thing is we got hung up on that, like kind of idea of that where it's like we got hung up on what respect means. And we're like, come on, man. We know what this means. Why are we but the argument was this one young lady was saying, well, I might talk to, my parents in one way and I might talk to my friends in another. And like, well, that's basically everybody, that you're not unique. But it was just stuff like that where like people just wanted to say something basically, just to display their level of wokeness or their level of whatever intelligence. Like, y'all shut up already.
It gets like that. I had a bad parent teacher conference, and I swear this woman said African American to me as if she was saying nigger with a hard ER, and it did not. It felt worse because she was also black. But but I was like, yo, if you say African American one more time, like we might have to like stop being professional in this meeting because I don't like the way you're saying that to me. But back to the original subject of this burial suits and everything. There was one alternative burial thing that I always thought was dope. Was there was a service that would cremate you pretty much, and they would infuse your ashes into a vinyl.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, that'd be cool. Like now, when you say a vinyl, like, do you mean like any album or just?
That's the part I never knew.
Okay.
And to me, I'm like, how much you got to pay to get royalty free?
Yeah. I mean,
if I'm making a custom album, like clearly this is a single print, but we got to.
Yeah.
How are we getting the songs for this, or am I only allowed to put it on a single?
Yeah.
I can't make an album.
Yeah. That'd be interesting though if what, like, say the company was doing that and then they got in like business with all the major record labels.
Mhm.
So people were, when people would die, they would leave in their will to or whatever they want to
Mhm.
be cremated and pressed into their favorite album. So it'd be like some Rolling Stones album or something. But it's the Rolling Stones, so it's this popular band. So their family will have to pay all this money to get it done. Like, dude, like this is more than a damn
get
mushroom suit.
to get a $25 record.
Yeah.
Paying $2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something that just occurred to me too is like records are built to kind of get fucked up because
they're durable. Yeah.
The needle is fucking with that groove and whatever. So are like flakes of you just being put into the atmosphere anyway?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Don't let no old school DJ get your record because they're like, oh man, I've been looking for this one forever. They don't know you cremated into it. Now they just scratching the fuck out of it.
Dust keeps coming out of this thing. I can't figure out why.
Oh, but would I get this suit? Maybe. Although I wouldn't get it because I'm like, oh yeah, this is my contribution to Earth. I get it because I'm like, yeah, I want to be different. And
yeah, probably same.
If I had the choice to become, like good for the Earth or pollution, yeah, let's do that one.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I'm basically the same way. Like I'm not against the environment, but
yeah,
and I would love for it to be better. I feel like Aaron's going to be disappointed when he hears us, though, because I know he is very much for the environment.
Right.
but no, like I would rather be in the mushroom suit than a casket. Like you said, one,
absolutely,
it's less of a financial burden for my family. But it's just cool. It's different. It's like, I mean, why not? I guess,
And I don't know, because just put an image in my head. Let's say you do get the mushroom suit, but you still have a regular funeral.
Yeah.
So the pallbearer is just like, they just throw your regular body on their shoulders.
Yeah, like firemen, like what's it called, a fireman's carry, I think, where they just put you over them.
You only got one pallbearer.
Yeah, or just put you on like a one of those, like a dolly, like a moving dolly. Just roll you through.
Just roll you in.
Yeah.
I'm not against this, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. Tell us, write us in, let us know.
Wait a minute. Before you close out, I got a question.
Yeah.
Do you if you could pick one song to play at your funeral, what would it be?
Ooh, shit. That's hard. Do you got one already?
I do. Yeah.
Go ahead. Let me think.
My song is "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen.
By Queen. Okay.
The reason being, first off, it's one of my favorite songs, but it's so upbeat and kind of ridiculous. I think it would be inappropriate to play at a funeral. But that's the reason. It's because it's so upbeat. It's like, and it's like, don't stop me now. Like, even death didn't stop this guy. That's the whole idea of it. But it's just an upbeat song. I think it would put people in a better mood, at least for 3 minutes, So that's my logic.
That's real. That's so considerate of you to want to put people in a better mood.
Yeah,
because my brain goes like,
I know they're gonna be sad, so
crying. Don't stop me, because we're having a good. And I'm gonna miss you.
That's funny.
I don't know. Part of me goes like The Gutter by Coheed, just blaring at the speakers. Call me up.
I mean, it's definitely something to think about. It's definitely not a question you can answer on the spot.
I mean, I'm fine with answering on the spot, even though I know I can't, because there's just so many songs that come into mind. Like, I would hope that I've made enough musical friends that they would come in and do something like that. I know Sam has a song, Amazing. That's still one of my, that's been like one of my wake up alarms for years. So I wouldn't be surprised if he played that. If I could get any of the like other homies to come in and play, have my homie Kahari perform his song I Am Motherfucking House.
Okay. I'm assuming it's a house song.
Yes, it is very much so. Streaming on Spotify and everywhere else. Go listen to it by disco poet Kahari B. What? Yeah, it's so many songs I could think. Like, Vicinity of Obscenity by System of a Down. Just like make everyone listen to this song that's clearly about masturbation.
What's that song by them? Violent Pornography.
Violent Pornography. Oh, just choking chicks and sodomy. Like there's a song that describes me. Describes the shit I love. So yeah, there's so many choices. But yeah, who knows? That's a great question. That's a great question. I need to like make that playlist that I can just send to everybody. Because I would I'm not even gonna hold you. Like I know I've written like goodbye messages like already. Like so like if you ever look at my notes app, you're like, okay, this is the last one he wrote.
That's interesting. Like if well, I mean that's interesting too. But the part where you was talking about the music, the playlist, something like that. So I've actually been working on this top 100 playlist for probably about a year and a half. Well, I was working at my other job, so over a year and a half at this point.
Okay.
Almost 2 years. So basically I'm trying to make my top 100 songs of all time. And it's too hard for me to just sit down and think about it. So sometimes, sometimes you forget like, oh yeah, that could be one of my top 100. I mean, that's a lot of songs. So
that's a lot of songs.
So if I'm just listening like to like my music, I could even be in a store and like, and the song comes on and like, yeah, I like that song. That's good enough to be on my top 100. So I think I'm like at like maybe like 60. I'm in the 60s now. So,
and are you just compiling 100 songs that you'll then rate, or?
I'm not sure. I might. I'm not sure if I'll ever put it in order, but I might, or at least maybe the top 25 I might put in order. But it's been fun though, because like I said, sometimes there's songs that you haven't heard in 5 years.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's not one of your favorite songs. It's just
absolutely,
so I've been doing that, and it's just a completely wide range of, obviously,
obviously, yeah,
the genres of music, but it's been fun though.
That's dope. I wish I could do that. Not to say I can't, but like that would require like so much brain space, and I always feel like I'm forgetting something.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
originally, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, but like I know mine would have like obscure shit on it, like something from the Pokemon soundtrack and
Mr. Spriggs Barbecue. You know what? That might be number 100 on my list.
It's always tender.
That's hilarious.
That is. That's dope. That's dope. Man, that's gonna have my brain firing for the rest of the night, being like.
It started with top 25, and like I blasted through that, and like this was too easy, and I need more songs. So now I was like, okay, 50. Then I got to 50, and I was like, I'm gonna just do 100 because I feel like I'm missing so many songs in this list.
Right.
So I'm not going over 100 though.
I do hope that once you feel like you've really got your 100, and the thing that could also happen is like you could, even if you get your 100,
it's gonna change.
It's going to change because more years are going to go past. Stuff will come out.
Yep.
And you may even get introduced to stuff that may not necessarily be newer, but you're like, damn, I really enjoyed this and I didn't know about it before. It's going to keep on shifting.
And that's the cool thing about music is like there are songs on there that like that from completely random artists that, well, I wouldn't say random, like there's artists that I've been listening to for some years now, but they're so different from most of the artists I listen to, but and they're not like a big time. There's some French dude. It's like it's not like a big artist, but he just happens to like have this one song. I'm like, man, it's just an amazing song to me.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about music. Like you don't have to be the best musician in the world to make a good song. So
absolutely. Yeah. And even to have that just can, speak to something like a legacy of your own experiences that kind of can show a piece of you that maybe you never broadcasted.
Yeah.
Because when people suggest stuff, I do usually check it out. Like if there's a couple of TikTokers I follow. I don't even know if they're musicians, but they're like, "Have you heard this?" I personally hate the ones that are like, "I'm telling you, this guy, he's about to blow up. Fuck you. Stop that." Yeah. But the ones that are like, at the end of the year, they're like, "These are my top 10 songs of 2022." Cool, because I'm sure there's gonna be some on there that I haven't heard of. Let me check them out. I always appreciate stuff like that.
Same here. Like, and I know we're rapping, but like, there's this. I follow this hip hop page on Instagram. There's two, but I mean, there's such good sources. Like, there's so much hip hop that I don't know about, and like this dude, like, every time there's a new album that comes out, half time I know who the artist is, but a lot of times I don't never even heard the person. I'll go and listen to it, like, damn, that's pretty good. Right. But I think it's called Below Hip. I don't know. I'll send it to you if you're interested. But yeah,
please. And I can tag them in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. And then I can maybe even add it on later, but we'll find out. You can always visit our Instagram, InforMILLy Honest, Twitter, InforMILLy_HP, and Facebook is going to be InforMILLy Honest Podcast. You can always write us at InforMILLyHonestPodcast.com. That doesn't exist. InforMILLy Honest Podcast at gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts. How do you want to be buried? Do you care anymore about the Tory Macon subject? Do you think Tory is innocent? Please let us know so I can write you an email back and go, "You're a dumbass." Comment, share, subscribe. Just so you know, we're going to be making some shifts. I don't know that this video is going to be on YouTube. We're going to do our best. If nothing else, we'll make sure the audio is at least on YouTube and the audio will be everywhere. So, and clearly you're listening to this, so you know the audio is there. But if you're like looking for a video, that might be like that for a few months. Going through transitions, y'all. We're going through transitions. Sponsor us on Anchor. Hop on there. We appreciate anything that you want to donate. You can also send us cash apps at hashtag InforMILLy Honest. We love y'all. We appreciate you and every connection you have. Every person you love and every person that you kind of tolerate, but you have to engage, please do so by being forthright, vulnerable, and always, if you can help it. Life be lifing, and sometimes you be fucked up about shit, but be honest. At some point, be honest. Peace.
Can't look in the eyes of my brother without shedding a tear for my brother. I really wanna try for my brother, 'cause I truly do feel for my brother.